The moment she stepped through the revolving glass doors, the air changed. It was subtle, like a drop in barometric pressure before a storm. The kind of shift you couldn't quite name, but your body knew. It started in the posture of the front desk receptionist, the way her shoulders squared when she saw Angela approaching, the way her fingers moved just a little faster to mute her phone and sit up straighter. Angela felt it all. She always did. It rolled over her like a second skin. She walked in calm, composed, navy blue suit tailored sharp at the waist, heels clicking on marble like a metronome of intention. Not rushed, not hesitant, just direct. She carried no briefcase, no assistant, no entourage. Only a slim leather folder held to her chest like scripture. Behind the reception desk, the woman, mid-20s, blonde, clearly annoyed, tilted her head. "Can I help you?" The tone hovered somewhere between customer service and suspicion. Angela offered a polite nod. "Angela Raye. I'm here to see... Do you have an appointment?" Angela didn't answer that directly. She set the folder down. "I'm here on legal business." The woman's eyes narrowed. She pressed a button beneath the desk. "One moment." Angela didn't move. Her hands rested on the folder. She took in the lobby, all glass and metal, with a curved stairway rising like a spine through the atrium. The kind of place built for appearances, the kind of place where only certain people were expected to belong. The elevator behind her chimed. A man in a suit passed without so much as a glance, but the receptionist kept watching her, kept frowning. Then 2 security guards appeared, both white, both broad-shouldered and buzz-cut. They came from the side hallway like they'd been waiting for a reason to act. Angela didn't flinch when they approached, but her smile faded. "You lost, ma'am?" one asked, hand resting lightly on his belt, where a radio and taser sat side by side like options. "No," Angela said. The other guard glanced at the receptionist. "She call y'all?" "She says she's here on legal business," the woman said, leaning back in her chair, arms crossed. The first guard turned back to Angela. "You can't just walk in here. Visitors check in at the side entrance, through loading." "I'm not a visitor," Angela replied evenly. "You work here?" "No." "Then you don't belong on this floor." Angela slowly opened the leather folder, revealing a single sheet, a formal legal notice bearing the seal of the State Bar and the header, Class Action Notice of Intent. She didn't hand it over. She didn't need to. "I'm here on behalf of the plaintiffs in Raye vs. Delmore Holdings," she said, her voice level but quiet as fire. "This building is named in the complaint." The guard squinted. Wait, you're the lawyer?" Angela looked at him without blinking. "Ms. Raye?" a voice called from across the atrium. A young black woman in business casual was speed-walking toward them, tablet in hand, breathless. "Ms. Raye, I'm sorry, they didn't tell me you were—" Angela didn't move an inch. She kept her gaze on the guards. "You see the difference now?" The younger woman reached them, eyes wide with panic. "Mr. Delmore is in conference, but he'll meet with you in—" "That won't be necessary," Angela said coolly. "Just inform counsel that I've made formal delivery." She placed the legal notice on the edge of the reception desk like a surgeon setting down a scalpel. The security guard looked confused. The receptionist went pale. Angela turned without a word, heels echoing louder this time, as she walked back across the pristine floor. Outside, the late morning sun had drawn a small circle of reporters to the curb, cameras poised, lenses gleaming. She took one last glance over her shoulder, not at the guards, not at the desk, but at the janitor in the corner quietly mopping by the elevator. He gave her a small nod. She gave it back. Then she stepped into the light. Angela didn't say much on the elevator ride down. The young woman, Camille, her name tag read, kept fidgeting beside her, clearly trying to apologize without outright saying the word. Angela could feel her discomfort radiating like heat. She let it burn in the silence. "I didn't know they'd treat you like that," Camille finally whispered, eyes downcast. "I'm so—" "You don't have to explain," Angela said, calm. "I know exactly how they treat people who look like me." Camille swallowed hard and nodded. Back in the car, Angela removed her heels and eased her feet into a pair of flats. She sat there for a moment, engine idling, folder now empty on the passenger seat. From her purse she pulled out a worn composition notebook. No digital files, nothing that could be traced or subpoenaed early. Just notes in her own hand, scribbled in midnight ink over the course of 2 years. Delmore Holdings, systemic bias patterns, the first page read. She flipped through the tabs. Termination trends, promotion, freeze reports, non-white employees overlooked for advancement, 18 cases. Internal complaint, suppression, 6 witnesses willing to testify. Angela had met them one by one, at diners, gas stations, parking garages, anywhere that wouldn't draw attention. They came afraid, bitter, sometimes ashamed, all of them the same story in different skin. They said I wasn't a culture fit. They made a joke about my braids in a meeting. They hired someone else fresh out of college to be my manager. I trained her. She got promoted. I got laid off. Angela never asked for outrage. She asked for details, names, times, emails if they had them. And slowly, like pieces of broken glass coming together, the shape of something sharp and undeniable took form. The irony was that Angela hadn't even been planning to take this case. At first, she'd just been helping a friend, Marcy, a woman she'd met years ago at a community legal aid summit. Marcy had worked in HR for Delmore. She'd been trying to fix things from the inside. But after she raised red flags about pay discrepancies and missed bonuses in the black employee cohort, she was offered a generous exit package and a threat in soft language. "You don't want to make this personal," she called Angela in tears. They smiled while they buried me. Angela hadn't smiled back, but she'd gotten to work. And now here they were, legal notice delivered, press already circling, and Delmore's entire ivory tower leaning just a little too far forward. She pulled into the underground garage of her building. Her phone buzzed twice, once from a reporter at the Tribune and once from a blocked number. She answered the second one. "Ms. Raye?" The voice was familiar, tired, male. "Yes? This is Paul Randall. I used to be facilities director at Delmore. We met last year, at the Weller Diner." Angela straightened. "Yes, of course." He hesitated. "They just sent out a company-wide memo, said something about a malicious actor, and warned staff to avoid contact with any legal representatives." "They're trying to scare people," Angela said flatly. "I know," he sighed. "But I also still have that email chain, the one about the undesirable hire pool." Angela's pen was already in her hand. "Can you get it to me?" "I can do better," he said. "You free tomorrow?" That night Angela sat at her kitchen table under soft yellow light, notebook open, files spread like tarot cards. She didn't need to guess what tomorrow would bring. There would be phone calls, damage control, backroom deals. But the difference was, this time they were playing her game, and they had already shown their hand. She poured herself a cup of tea and stared out the window, city lights blinking against the sky like slow, deliberate winks. Let them scramble. Let them panic. She wasn't done. Angela noticed him the first time she stepped into that lobby, not because he moved, but because he didn't. He just watched, quiet, steady, mop in hand, leaning slightly on the handle like it was part of him. Most people didn't see janitors, that was the point. They moved through hallways like ghosts, heard things no one meant for them to hear, and got ignored like furniture. Angela never ignored people who blended in. So when she saw him that day, as security tried to usher her out of a building her lawsuit was about to crack in half, she clocked the look in his eyes. It wasn't surprise. It was recognition. She didn't know his name until now. They met at a laundromat. He picked the spot, said it felt neutral, said he didn't want to meet where cameras could see or managers might pass by and remember the wrong things. He came in with a denim jacket over his uniform, worn hands, tired eyes, but sharp. Too sharp for someone who supposedly just mopped floors and emptied trash. "Are you sure this ain't gonna get me fired?" he asked, sliding into the cracked vinyl booth across from her. "They already fire people like you," Angela replied softly. "The only difference is whether you go with a voice or without one." He paused, then pulled a spiral notebook from inside his jacket. "I wasn't keeping this for court," he said, just for myself, in case I ever started to think it was all in my head." Angela opened it. Names, dates, times, not of the employees, of the slurs, the whisper-loud jokes, the code words used in emails she didn't have access to, but he heard them repeated in meetings, casual and unchecked. Culture fit. Front-facing aesthetics. Hard to train. I mop the exec floor every Thursday night, he said. After hours, they forget I'm there. I just listen. Angela looked up. Do you remember the conversation about the promotion freeze? He nodded. You talking about the two-list policy? She blinked. Explain. They got a shortlist for internal promotions, that's public. But there's another one they pass around in the Friday meeting, the ones they really want to move up. It's handwritten, never emailed, never printed. Angela's pen hit the notebook. Who handles it? VP of Strategy, white guy, mid-40s. Wears those pocket-square suits and always says we're a family here while firing people. Angela almost smiled. He wasn't the only one. Angela had gathered janitors, interns, admin temps, contract workers, all the people who weren't invited to the holiday parties, but saw what happened behind the scenes. One had photos. One had saved shredded documents pulled from the wrong bin. Another had a recording from a diversity town hall where leadership openly mocked the idea of blind resume screening. And now she had the janitor's ledger. It wasn't just testimony, it was pattern, motive, culture, proof. That evening, as Angela left the laundromat, her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. She hesitated, answered. A woman's voice, shaky, rushed. Ms. Raye? You don't know me. I used to be one of Delmore's clients. Well, my firm was. But I overheard something today. One of the partners said your little lawsuit could cost them millions if the press finds out about the severance payouts. Angela's breath slowed. And how do you know that? Then, if it stays anonymous, yeah, I'll talk. The story wasn't just about racism anymore. It was cover-ups, corruption, fraud, and the higher it went, the louder the silence became, like everyone at the top was suddenly very, very afraid. Angela pulled into her driveway just as the street lamps buzzed on, casting gold light across her windshield. She sat there for a while, holding the janitor's notebook in her lap. Then she whispered to herself, they really thought I came alone. The first real crack came on a Tuesday. Mid-morning. Quiet. No press releases. Just a LinkedIn post, short, nearly polite, from Delmore's VP of Human Resources. After 5 incredible years, I've decided to step away and focus on family and new opportunities. Grateful for the journey and the people I've worked alongside. Angela read it twice, then screenshotted it. She already knew. Camille had tipped her off the night before. They didn't ask her to resign, they escorted her out. No party, no statement from the board. Just a silence so loud it practically screamed. And it was only the beginning. Angela sat across from Paul Randall in a booth at a diner with sticky menus and real pie. She ordered coffee, black. He ordered nothing, just twisted the silver napkin holder while he talked. She was the one who built the shortlist system, he said. 2 columns. She used to joke it was the culture fit versus the legal risk columns. Angela tapped her pen. Legal risk? Yeah, folks they knew they should promote, usually people of color with tenure, performance numbers, all that. But they didn't want to. Said they might get sued someday if they weren't careful. So they made a list, Angela said flatly. Paul nodded. To cover themselves. So if someone came asking, they could say, see, we were considering them. But nobody from that column ever made it. Angela's stomach turned. She closed her notebook slowly, letting the weight of the words settle between them like dust. Do you have any documentation? She asked. Paul pulled out a flash drive. This is from an old quarterly folder, backed up the week before they let me go. Angela slid it into her bag like it was glass. By Thursday, the story had hit the national press. Not just about the lawsuit, That was already public. But the culture. The anonymous tip had made its way to a major outlet. An op-ed ran under the headline, Delmore Holdings, a case study in quiet discrimination. And right in the middle of the article, not at the top, not too obvious, was a single line that made Angela's phone explode. According to one insider, the lead attorney suing the company was mistaken for a trespasser and nearly removed by security during her visit. It lit the internet up like gasoline. Angela didn't read the comments. She didn't have to. Her assistant, Layla, read them aloud as they walked through the community center Angela helped fund in South Philly. "They really tried to throw out the lawyer," Layla muttered. "I mean, they made the lawsuit for you." Angela said nothing, just kept walking. Layla paused. "You okay?" Angela looked down the hallway, kids running, laughter echoing, a mural of black lawyers and leaders painted along the wall. "I'm fine," she said. "I'm just not surprised." Back at her home office, Angela sorted through the files. Janitor notes, flash drives, anonymous tips, redacted settlement summaries. Her wall was a map of misconduct, names, arrows, incidents, hidden payouts, all leading to one figure at the top, Jonathan Delmore, founder, CEO, face of the company. Face of the same man who built his empire on polished PR campaigns and donation galas. The same man who'd once been named Philadelphia's Innovator of the Year. And the same man who hadn't said a single word since the lawsuit hit. Angela knew why. Silence was his last defense. He couldn't deny what he hadn't yet acknowledged. That night she received an envelope in the mail, no return address. Inside, a printed email thread from 3 years ago labeled confidential. Subject, HR complaint urgent, from Jasmine Lee to HR director. "This is the 3rd time I've been passed over for a position I was qualified for. I was told again that I'm too direct and not a Delmore type. I'm the only black woman on my floor. If this isn't corrected, I'll be speaking to an attorney." Angela's hands shook. She knew that name. Jasmine Lee had died by suicide last year. She was 29. The obituary hadn't mentioned Delmore, only her church, her family, and her smile. Angela pressed the email to her chest, sat down, closed her eyes. This case wasn't just business anymore. It never was. By the end of the month, the company line was unraveling. Delmore Holdings' official press release used words like unfounded, deeply committed to equity, and under internal review. But behind the scenes, the walls were cracking, fast. People were jumping ship, quietly. Resignations framed as sabbaticals began flooding LinkedIn. Departments scrambled to lock down access to HR files. And board members, the ones who had proudly sat in the front row at every Black History Month luncheon, were suddenly unavailable for comment. Angela stayed silent. Publicly, she gave no interviews, no speeches, no grandstanding. But privately, she was building something undeniable. His name was Alan Breyer, former Vice President of Strategic Growth, longtime Delmore loyalist, mid-50s, silver hair, expensive taste, and a spotless reputation, until 2 weeks ago when his name surfaced in a deposition from one of the whistleblowers. He was the one who had handed out the real list in those Friday meetings. Angela had heard the same name from 4 different sources, but no one had ever seen him bend, until now. The meeting happened in a private office above a cafe in Center City. Breyer looked tired. Not broken, not yet, but something had shifted. His posture was rigid but frayed at the edges. The polished shell was thinning. Angela didn't offer coffee, just laid the flash drive and a printed stack of internal documents on the table between them. "These came from your department," she said. "We can verify timestamp and authorship, but I want to give you a chance to speak first." Breyer stared at the papers, then exhaled. "I didn't come here to deny it," he said. Angela waited. He tapped his fingers against the oak table. "When Delmore started, it wasn't like this. At least, I told myself it wasn't. But by the time the money came in, by the time we started winning those diversity awards, it was already done." "You helped it happen," she said without venom. Just truth. He flinched. "Yes." Angela leaned forward, voice low. "So why are you here?" Breyer looked at her and for the first time really looked at her. "My daughter applied for an internship," he said. She didn't get it. She's mixed, half black, like her mother. Her resume was better than the kid they picked. But when I asked around, they said she just wasn't a fit. Same language I used, same words I fed into the system. He looked down. That's when I realized I built a machine I wouldn't even let my own child walk through. Angela studied him. And what do you want now? He pushed a sealed envelope toward her. Handwritten memos, the original list rotation, names, dates, who signed off. Angela didn't touch it yet. You understand what this means? She asked. He nodded. They'll blackball me, but I think I deserve it. By the next day, Angela had what she needed. Proof of intent, a chain of decisions, direct involvement from at least 3 C-suite executives, and one of them, Raye, ready to testify in court. But that wasn't the part that made her phone buzz 22 times in a single hour. It was a new development. The Philadelphia Tribune dropped an investigative feature titled Delmore's Diversity Fraud, How a Top Firm Masked Discrimination with PR. Included in the article, screenshots of internal emails, redacted but damning. Quotes from former employees detailing culture fit criteria. Confirmation that Delmore applied for and received public tax credits under false diversity metrics. And then, right at the bottom, this story was made possible by internal documentation, obtained through a civil suit filed by attorney Angela Raye. The headline went viral in 3 hours. Delmore stock dropped 14% by Friday. Clients began backing out of contracts. A tech startup pulled a $7 million deal. A non-profit rescinded an award. And online, the story flooded Black Twitter, memes, videos, hashtags. But one tweet stuck in Angela's mind the most. She walked in quiet. They tried to throw her out. She left a fire burning behind her. Angela didn't respond. Instead, she looked at the sealed envelope still sitting on her desk, and beneath it, the printed email from Jasmine Lee. She whispered her name again, this time like a promise. The courtroom was cold. Not in temperature, but in tone. Glass, marble, and silence. Everything about it designed to intimidate. From the towering ceilings to the stiff-backed pews, it whispered order, control, status quo. Across the aisle, Delmore Holdings' legal team filled their bench with tailored suits and murmured confidence. The lead counsel, a man named Fletcher Kinlan, adjusted his cufflinks as if they were weapons. He hadn't looked at Angela once. Not really. Just past her, through her, over her. Angela was used to that. Your Honor, Kinlan began, rising with a practiced air, the defense maintains that the plaintiff's claims lack evidentiary grounding, and furthermore, that the testimony prepared for today borders on speculative hearsay. Angela didn't flinch. The judge, a tall black woman in her late 50s, eyes sharp behind her glasses, raised an eyebrow. You may argue that during cross, Mr. Kinlan. Ms. Raye, you may proceed. Angela stepped forward. No grand flourish, no dramatic pause. Just a quiet voice that carried weight. I'd like to call my first witness, she said, Mr. Franklin Dorsey. A murmur stirred in the courtroom. Franklin Dorsey, janitor, night staff, invisible man, the same one who stood by the mop closet the morning security tried to escort Angela out, the man who had seen everything but said nothing, until now. He walked in slowly, nerves in his fingers, his work boots slightly scuffed against the polished floor. But when he looked at Angela, he nodded once. She nodded back. Mr. Dorsey, she began, can you describe your role at Delmore Holdings? He cleared his throat. Been cleaning the exec floor for 7 years. Night shift, quiet job. And in those 7 years, have you ever overheard conversations about staff evaluations or promotions? He hesitated. The defense stirred. Yes, he finally said. Plenty. Angela paced just once. Can you tell the court what you heard about Delmore's promotion practices? Dorsey looked down, then back up. There were 2 lists, he said. One public, one passed around after hours. A rustle of papers from the defense table. Angela continued. And what was different about those 2 lists? The public one had all the right names, people with the numbers, the experience. But the other list, it was the real one, mostly people who looked like them, white, young, from the same schools. Kinlan stood. Objection. Assumptive characterization. The judge raised a hand. Overruled. Continue, Ms. Raye. Angela turned back to the witness. Were you ever asked to dispose of any of these documents? Dorsey nodded slowly. A few times. Shredding bin in the VP's office. Did you? He reached into his jacket pocket and held up a laminated sheet. No, ma'am. I made a copy. Gasps rose like a tide. Angela gently took the document and handed it to the bailiff. It was entered into evidence. Clear as day, handwritten columns, one labeled official, the other internal review. The names on the internal list told a story no policy could hide. Angela's voice lowered. Mr. Dorsey, why keep it? He looked at her, and then past her, to the room, to the world that had never seen him. Because I wanted to know I wasn't crazy, he said, that what I saw, what I heard, it was real. Angela nodded once, then turned to the judge. No further questions. Cross-examination came like fire. Kinlan stood, tone clipped, trying to unravel Dorsey's credibility. You're a janitor, Mr. Dorsey. Yes, sir. Not part of HR? No. Not in any promotion committee? No. So you're simply assuming... I'm remembering, Dorsey cut in. I remember every name, every list, and the way they talked when they thought nobody was listening. Kinlan paused, thrown off. You expect this court to believe you? A night staff janitor is the one who uncovered a coordinated system of discrimination? Dorsey didn't miss a beat. I didn't uncover it. Y'all just didn't bother to hide it from me. Angela felt something shift in the room. Not loud, but real. Even the stenographer had slowed. That night, Angela walked home under a dark sky spitting light rain. Her phone buzzed with alerts. Articles already being drafted, phrases like explosive opening witness and unexpected testimony shakes defense. She let it buzz. She walked in silence, Franklin's words echoing in her mind. Y'all just didn't bother to hide it. They never did. They came for her the next morning, not in the courtroom, not with subpoenas or legal filings, but with doubt. An anonymous blog post dropped at 7:13 a.m., right as the sun was cracking over the skyline. The title was sharp, weaponized. Who is Angela Raye really? The truth behind the woman suing Delmore. It didn't say anything true, but it didn't have to. The piece implied misfiled tax records from 10 years ago. Claimed Angela had been disciplined by the bar. She hadn't. Questioned whether a community college grad could really lead a high-profile class action case against a billion-dollar firm. The goal was clear: smear, rattle, distract. Angela sat in her kitchen, toast untouched, scrolling through the article with the kind of calm that comes from growing up around storms. They'd tried this before. She'd seen this playbook used on other black women who dared to raise their voice, discredit, dismiss, destroy. But they always forgot one thing. Angela didn't flinch. She documented. By noon, her inbox was full. Some people were shaken, clients, allies. Even Camille texted her in a panic. You okay? That article is everywhere. Want me to help draft a response? Angela replied with a single word. Let them talk. Instead, she called someone else. His name was Darren Tolles, former investigative journalist turned data analyst. He owed her a favor. Years ago, she'd gotten his brother out of a false arrest with nothing but a FOIA request and a 3-hour hearing. Now he worked in digital forensics. Angela forwarded the blog link. Find the IP, she said. I need to know who paid for the smear. He didn't ask why, just said, give me a day. Back in court, the defense walked in smug. Kinlan was wearing a new tie, blood red. He made eye contact this time, smiling just a little too much. He thought she'd come in shaken. Smaller. But Angela walked taller. Not because the attacks didn't hurt, because she'd expected them. The defense's first witness was a woman named Heather Mearns, Delmore's former director of talent acquisition. They brought her in to paint the picture. Clean systems, fair hiring, nothing suspicious. Delmore has a rigorous multi-phase hiring protocol, she said under oath. We use blind resumes in the first round, and all promotion reviews are handled through objective scoring metrics. Angela let her talk. Let her spin the script. Then, on cross, she struck. Ms. Mearns, Angela said, are you familiar with the term Jasmine Lee exception? Heather flinched. I don't know what that means. Angela raised a hand. The judge nodded. Exhibit 27, a printed Slack transcript, leaked by a former intern and verified by timestamps. VP Strat, we don't want another Jasmine Lee situation. Just make sure the final cut doesn't include folks who'll throw tantrums when they're overlooked. Heather M. Copy. No Jasmines this time. Angela didn't raise her voice, didn't push. She just let the words sit. Heather's mouth opened, then closed. The jury leaned forward. That night, Angela received a call. Darren. Blog was funded by a shell domain out of Arizona. Guess who owns the server? Angela waited. Delmore Holdings PR firm. They tried to route it through a dummy non-profit, Sloppy. Angela closed her eyes. And the author? Fake name. But the metadata on the upload shows it was posted from a hotel Wi-Fi in Philly, day before the article went live. Angela smiled. Send it to my inbox. We'll let the judge see it first. Angela didn't just play defense. She documented. The following morning, her surprise witness arrived early. Wearing her nerves like perfume, she was 24. Curly hair pulled into a high bun, tiny silver nose ring. Slipped Angela a folded paper when they met in the courthouse hallway. This is the diversity report they asked me to delete, she whispered. It showed the hiring bias in the analytics. I saved it on my own flash drive. I don't want money. I needed someone to believe it happened. Angela took the paper with both hands, like it was sacred. I believe you, she said. The courtroom was at capacity. Phones silenced, pens still, every seat taken. Angela stood again in the same navy suit she wore that first morning, a quiet nod to where it started. Same sharp shoulders, same clean lines, same unwavering poise. But this time, no security guards hovered by the door. This time, everyone knew who she was. Delmore's team looked different, too. The lead attorney sat pale and rigid. One of their board members was notably absent, resigning quietly just days earlier after Darren's findings revealed the company's fingerprints all over the smear blog. The judge had allowed it in, not the article itself, but the forensic report linking the publication to Delmore's PR firm. Angela never once addressed it to the jury. She didn't need to. Sometimes truth settles louder when left unsaid. Angela's closing argument was not a performance. She didn't pace. She didn't thunder. She just stood there, steady, and told the truth. This case is not about a broken system. It's about a system that works exactly the way it was designed, to exclude, to silence, to reward the illusion of fairness while punishing those who dare to question it. You've heard the voices of people who were never meant to be seen. You've read the memos, the emails. You've seen the dual lists, the cover-ups, the payouts disguised as consulting fees. They asked you to believe it was coincidence, that the pattern wasn't a pattern, that every person who spoke up just happened to be mistaken. But you know better now. We all do. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Angela didn't wait in the courthouse. She went to a park bench nearby, brought nothing but a water bottle and her notebook. She didn't open it. She just watched the wind move through the trees, let the tension bleed out through the soles of her feet, and when her phone rang, Camille's number, she answered with her heart already bracing. They ruled in our favor, Camille said, voice thick. Angela, they ruled unanimous, all counts, damages too, 8 figures. Angela closed her eyes. Jasmine's name was mentioned in the verdict summary, Camille whispered. They saw her. Angela didn't speak. She just let the silence hold her like a prayer. Within 48 hours, Delmore's homepage changed. We are restructuring. Leadership transition is underway. A renewed commitment to accountability. They could change the language, but they couldn't rewrite what the world now knew. The media called it the Raye reckoning. Think pieces flooded in. How one attorney unmasked a corporate culture. The janitor who tipped the scales. When the lawyer they doubted became the name they feared. But Angela didn't chase cameras. She returned to her small office on 52nd Street, the one above the community bookstore. She rehung the mural that had fallen during renovations, the one of black leaders holding books, not microphones. And then, one afternoon, she got a letter. No return address. Inside was a photo, a little girl, maybe 7. Curly hair, bright eyes, and a note in soft handwriting. "This is Jasmine's niece. She knows your name now. She knows what you did. Thank you." Angela pressed the photo to her chest, and for the first time in the whole fight, she cried. Not from pain, from release.